Man, I'm seeing so many more Teslas now with gas prices going crazy. What are y'all doing going electric? Why don't you get on two wheels? What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning on in to the Evergreen Motovlog channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about some of the biggest anxieties that I've experienced as a new rider. So let's get to it. Cue the intro. What is going on, everybody? Thank you again for tuning on in. Real quick, if you've not had a chance to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, I really would appreciate it. Really does help the channel out. So go ahead and subscribe. All right, where were we? Riding anxieties. That's a good one. I know that I'll probably talk about this in the future with other videos or mentioning it in passing, different things like that. But yeah, riding anxieties can really put a dampener on getting out and getting on two wheels and going for it. A rolling stop right there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and share some of the anxieties that I have dealt as I've become a new rider and kind of leading up to riding and getting on two wheels, and then kind of give some of my personal answers or reasons why I was able to work through them, or maybe even go into why I haven't fully worked through some of those anxieties yet. But you know, I know that everybody's path to riding is different. Everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different, and so I want to just say this real quick at the beginning, that I respect everybody and their different situations. Everybody has a unique experience, and so I can appreciate that. This is 100% coming from my personal experience and how I process information, how I pick up new things, and all of that kind of stuff. So without further ado, I don't know, that sounds corny. Let's keep it in the channel anyway. So without further ado, let's get into some of these anxieties. So anxiety number one, I definitely would put it as the obvious one, and that would be, am I going to get injured? You know, wow. Am I going to get injured? Am I going to have issues with getting on two wheels and having an issue with whether the bike tipping over or other traffic or whatever have you? You know, I know that was definitely one of the anxieties that I personally struggled with, and honestly still struggle with. You know, there was a time when I was going over in my head different scenarios and circumstances, and kind of even questioning, is this something I really want to do? And then after I got my bike, I even questioned it more. It's almost like, even though I unlocked this whole world of getting on two wheels and riding and having a great time in the community and everything, I almost unlocked that anxiety, or, you know, almost opened up that anxiety more to some degree for a while there. So, you know, it was something that I struggled with in the beginning, and it's something that I struggled with as I was learning. Little second gear start. So something that I struggled with throughout the whole process. And I think it really kind of comes down to a few different things that I put in my, you know, that a few different rules that's helped me kind of get through it. So I'll go over those rules in a second, but that one, honestly, I don't think it ever really goes away. It might. I mean, well, I guess we'll see. But even right now, right, I don't know if this guy is going to pull out in front of me. Thank you, sir. But what I'm saying is, you know, it doesn't go away, but you learn to deal with it, and you learn certain safeguards to put in place to help reduce some of that anxiety. And what I mean by that are, you know, some of my rules that I talked about earlier. Rule number one, do not ride while intoxicated. And this one honestly can get a little controversial, because at the core, especially when you're starting out, that seems pretty obvious. You definitely shouldn't be drinking and driving. Saw, dude. So you definitely, you should try not to drink and drive, but I understand, go to the bar, have a couple beers, eat a burger, end of the day, head on home. But when it comes to riding, I have heard and I have learned that, it takes a significant amount more of your focus while you're on your bike, especially while you're learning, but throughout, because you need to, when you're in a car, you really, one of them four-wheeled machines, you don't really need to worry as much about other drivers as you do when you're riding. And there's more physicality involved, more maneuvering, and so you need all the focus that you can have possible. That's my personal, rule number one. That's something they teach you in the MSF course. Where the controversy comes in is having things like biker bars. Man, this cloud is looking so ominous. Am I just about to get dumped on? Because it has been nice today, and I was hoping it wouldn't rain. Damn it. The frickin' rain is driving me nuts. I gotta pull over here anyway and adjust my head sock. What do y'all call that thing? It's a head sock? I don't know. I want to call it a head condom. It keeps my man sweat from getting all over my helmet. Zoop. Yeah, we could get a spring picture right here. Why not? Alright, look at that bike. Let's get it right here. Oh yeah. So I had my damn glove off, and I didn't even fix this thing. Alright, we are back and going. Let's do this. So, I just want to preface this all too with, again, this is my own opinion, my own experience. Do not take this all as absolute truth. Do your own research, figure out your own shit, and don't be trolling people just because they set specific things on their life. Parameters, rules, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, so it's controversial because of biker bars and, just going out, hitting the road, and getting a beer. And I know people that do that and are fine with it. And I'm sure there are people that have been, riding for years and years and years, and it is totally okay. But it's just a personal choice that I currently have made for myself, and something that I currently do not plan to change. Just because, again, I've been so focused on not focused, but I've mentioned this, on the channel before, and to friends and family and everything, that, riding really is just a different level. You really are so dialed in on the road, so dialed in on what you're doing. Even motovlogging, honestly, could be a distraction in some circumstances. And so, anything added to that equation can make things more difficult, and I'd rather just not put myself in that situation. So rule number 2 is making sure that you mostly do your best to follow the speed limit. And what I mean is keep the track shenanigans to track days, and always watch out for other drivers, because you could be one of the best riders in, a professional racer even, I'm sure, and you never know what other people are going to be doing. You don't know who's drunk, you don't know who's being negligent or dangerous, who's a new driver, anything. There's just so many variables. So when you choose to go excessive speeds when you're riding, you can open up opportunities that you just really don't want to be in. And so, hey, I get it. I'm on a Honda Rebel 500, I'm on a cruiser, and so this isn't like a sport bike, one of them crazy sport bikes, but this is a great little bike, and I enjoy it, and it's tempting, man, just to get on it and get going. And I do speed sometimes, but that excessive speeding, that's just a rule that I've laid out for myself to do my best to avoid that, unless I'm going to the track, or, obviously on the freeway going 75 or 80 into 60, not as big of a deal. Rule number 3 is going to be making sure you always wear the right gear. And this one's definitely a controversial rule, but this again is something that helps me alleviate some of my rider anxiety. And it's just making sure that you've got proper gear as much as you possibly can. I get that sometimes people will take the jacket off because it's hot, or, you know, hey, I'm going around town, slow speeds, not that big of a deal. But hey, again, you never know what's going to happen. Things can be really unpredictable. Again, having the proper gear will just really help you when you are in the situation. So I'm always going to be an advocate for wearing the right gear and making sure that, you know, definitely always got a helmet on. Personally, I wear a full face helmet. Part of that also is for motovlogging, but most of that's because I decided to go with something that would cover my whole face. And then just another kind of, I guess you could call it rule number 4, but you know, this is 4 of 4 relating to how do I alleviate the riding anxiety of getting injured. And rule number 4 is, if you're not in the right mindset, don't go out and ride. Something that they teach you at the initial MSF course, something that's a little bit of common sense. But you know, if you're having a really rough day, if you are really stressed out, or if you're having a great day and you just can't take your mind off of that specific thing, it's probably a good idea not to go ride, because you're probably going to be thinking about other things when you should be thinking about the road, your bike, and the vehicles around you. So those are my 4 rules that I personally do my best to follow, that help me to some degree alleviate that anxiety with getting injured or riding around. It's still there to some degree, for sure. So because it's still there, I you know, some days I'm a little more anxious, but you know, it's all about minding your surroundings, staying safe, and just doing your best to watch out for other people. But they're definitely, for sure, I just want to, anybody out there that is currently trying to get over some of this anxiety about being a new rider, I just want to let you know it does pass. You do become more experienced. You will become more comfortable with getting on 2 wheels and dealing with cars around you. You know, when I first started riding, like right now there's a car behind me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure they see me, you know, no reason they shouldn't. And, you know, when I first started riding, a car would get behind me, and I'd be like, oh no, what's going to happen? Some of it's just going to be experience and, you know, getting to know the bike and the road and the 2-wheeled life a little bit better. Saw, dude. One of the next anxieties that I wanted to go over was just really getting comfortable with, you know, choosing the right bike and figuring out, you know, what are the right steps, what's it actually going to take for me to become a rider. And, you know, I totally get it. I had no idea what the right bike was going to be for me, you know, so I gravitated towards something that I thought looked cool, you know. I think that kind of cut down cruiser, not a lot going on style looks cool to me. And so I was looking at the Harley Iron 883, I was looking at the Honda Rebel 500, which I ended up purchasing, and a couple other bike options. Worst case scenario, if you end up getting a bike that you don't like, doesn't fit right, doesn't feel good, or whatever, what's up, dude? You can always go in and either return the bike, or you can go and sell it and get something that does work for you. So my best advice, what ended up working out best for me, was going in and talking to the people about the bike, and then sitting down and really just getting a feel for it. And I just knew instantly that when I sat on this bike, it just felt comfortable. The size felt manageable, the weight felt good, the height, everything. You know, it just kind of came down to a feeling for me that when I did finally go sit on the Honda Rebel, I was like, yeah, I think this is the right one. I think this is going to be great. Yeah, it worked out great. I think so far it's working out great. I'm coming up on a year of owning this bike, so I think it's working out pretty good. But I sat on the Harley Iron 883, and at that time, you know, from my perspective, I'd never sat on another bike other than, you know, just random at friends' houses or something like that. And I'd never... Man, the bugs are out today. The bugs are here. At that point, I also had not really had a chance to ride very many street bikes. I'd only been coming from dirt bikes. So I sat on the Harley Iron 883, and it was this big old heavy bike, and it just intimidated me, if I'm being honest. And now I look back on it and I'm like, all right, well, at this point I could totally sit on it and enjoy it and probably be in a good place. But when I was looking around on my first bike, I sat on the 883 and I was just like, you know what, I think this is just going to be too much for me right now. So my best advice in that kind of situation with having a new rider anxiety related to what's going to be the best bike is, you know what, you can get there good enough. You can get the ballpark answer between, you know, sitting on the bike. If you already have your endorsement or permit, go ahead and, you know, go take it for a test ride at the MSF course, get a feel for those smaller CC bikes, you know, kind of really ring one up and see how that feels. And then just make the best guess possible. Get a bike that you think looks cool, that fits you and feels right. And then you'll know from there. You'll know when it's time to upgrade. You'll know when it's time to figure out a different bike, whether for power or styling or whatever. And you'll know if it's a bike that you want to keep for a really long time. That's how I would relieve that anxiety, that stress. Am I going to hit the turn signal on this one? Nah, because I thought about it. And lastly, I just wanted to kind of wrap this up, or I don't know if I'm going to wrap this up, but lastly, I just wanted to mention, you know, that there's going to be a lot of new anxieties with riding your bike. And, you know, some of them might be due to physical issues or, you know, fear of getting in an accident. Some of them might be worried about getting the wrong stuff. You know, I'd say same thing with gear. You know, I went to Cycle Gear a bunch of different times and looked online and watched a bunch of different videos before I figured out what was the right, you know, gear. Other than the helmet, I didn't know, and then I needed to try on a bunch of different things and figure out what was the right fit. You know, it really comes down to kind of getting there and doing what you need to do, sitting on the bike, putting on the jacket, putting on the boots, walking around and really feeling it out and seeing what is going to be the best fit for you. But I will say, you know, getting on two wheels is a new thing, right? You know, if you haven't done it yet, or if you're just getting started, I totally understand where you're at. You know, I've been there, and it's a new thing. Anytime you're going to be trying something new, there's going to be anxiety associated with it. My best advice is make sure you go at your own pace. Make sure that you only do what makes you comfortable, right? It doesn't matter what other people have done, what other people say. It doesn't matter. And when I say that, in a sense of, it doesn't matter what other people say in, you know, like, oh, I was able to go on the freeway by the, you know, second time I was riding. Well, who cares, man? It doesn't freaking matter. What matters is what makes you comfortable and how far are you willing to step outside of your comfort zone without taking too much of a risk. So I would just say, you know, the model that I follow is stepping outside of my comfort zone and pushing myself to a degree, but not going beyond what I feel like I can handle. You know, taking it in strides, baby steps, all of those things apply in this situation. Because, what's that, dude? Second time, just chilling. You know, at the end of the day, it's important to make sure that you only do what makes you comfortable. Now, what I've done in the past, you know, and what I still do, is sometimes I will plan to push myself a little bit. Be like, all right, I'm going to do this specific thing, whatever it is. You know, I'm going to go on the freeway for 2 exits, or I'm going to go and ride this super twisty turny road and you know, take it at 35 miles an hour, and you know, there's not very many cars, so it'll work out fine. It's finding that balance, and it's figuring out what works for you without taking too much of a risk. So I guess what I said earlier is is kind of a good way to tie this whole video together. Follow your own schedule and stay inside your comfort zone, but push the limits a little bit just to get yourself comfortable. And if you find yourself going too far, then don't be afraid to dial it back a little bit. You know, it's totally okay. At the end of the day, getting on 2 wheels is very stressful. It can be very nerve-wracking, but it is a hell of a lot of fun, and in my opinion, totally worth it. Absolutely 100% worth it. You will find that you will work your way through those anxieties. There are things that freaked me the freak out a couple months ago that I have no problem doing now. So it's just getting out there, getting that practice, and relaxing, just having a good time. Don't worry, it'll come. I just want to encourage all those people that are new riders or returning riders or are on the fence about whether or not they should get on two wheels. 100%, I'd say go for it. If you find out it's not for you, that's totally okay too. Nothing wrong with getting on a bike and trying it out, and then after a couple of weeks being like, man, I don't think this is for me. Nobody's gonna judge you. Everybody's gonna totally understand. At least that's my perspective. Thank you everybody for watching. We're just doing a quick little ramble, I guess, about new rider thoughts and new rider anxieties. Let me know in the comments if you've had a different experience. Let me know what some of your anxieties are, or if there's anything I missed. I'd be happy to do a part 2 to this video. Oh, saw, dude. Thank you all for joining me for this video. I do appreciate it. If you haven't had a chance, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Like the video. If you like motorcycle content, Honda Rebel 500 content, I got a lot more coming your way. If you just go walk on over and move that mouse and hit that subscribe button. So thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember everyone to always ride safe, mind those surroundings, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.